Okay, guys, you're not going to believe this, but we thought we were streaming, and we've just realised we were not live. So we just did a 10-minute dedication to the late great Richard Lewis, the actor, and we were talking about it. We were chatting away, and I kept seeing people going, "Are you running late?" in the chat, and I'm like, "No, we're not running late. We're on now. What's going on?" So that was quite strange. But so I didn't bother with the intro. I just thought we'd better get on with it. So I'm going to bring in my guests real quick. I've got BlueCollarLoser, Darth Plato, Leroy. Okay.
I'm reading the chat and people talking about Chamberlain and the first one. So I thought chat was going on with
we're
our
responding
conversation.
to all the comments.
We're talking. I'm like, hey, Dan.
Good to see you, Corey. Yeah, good to see the show's been covered. Yeah, pretty solid episodes. And thank you, Dan Candy, for buying my book. I really appreciate it. Want to hear back from you when you finished it. Let me know what you think. I saw that about Chamberlain as well. Thanks very much. And that's why I put when someone put running late. I was like, I went to check to see if I had a simultaneous stream that I'd forgotten about. Jesus Christ! How did I forget?
So we are live right now.
I guess
we're live. Live buttons up top there.
Yeah.
If you'll pardon me a brief moment with Americanism, who's on first?
Who's on first? Yeah. Okay. So let me do. We did just do a shout out to the late great Richard Lewis, who passed away today. This is going to be a shorter shout out to Richard, which I'm sure he would find amusing.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, he passed away today. For those people that are not familiar with him, he's been in almost, I think, every season of Curb Your Enthusiasm since it started nearly 20 years ago. Also from Men in Tights, various other.
He did a show with Don Rickles.
And also some other comedy that we were talking about with John Timon.
Curtis.
But anyway, unfortunately, we covered a lot of his career earlier, but we're only gonna touch on it briefly now, Richard. Hopefully, Larry David's planning on joining you in 3 days' time as arranged, but they were only born 3 days apart. Larry David gave him a really nice nod today. So I think you'll all agree he had a fantastic career, and I'm sure he's going to make us laugh for many years to come. So sorry, Dan Candy, we thought we were live and we weren't live, and we've been streaming for about we thought we were streaming for about 15 minutes or something. Yeah, we were because we were on time. God, we must.
Lance was keeping us to himself.
Yeah, it was just like a chat. Anyway, okay, so R.I.P. Richard Lewis. All right, let's move on and get on with Shogun. So what we'd already done, which we'll do again but shorter, was we all first of all did a brief, gave our brief thoughts on what we thought of the show overall. My impressions were fairly straightforward, and they were this. I thought the show was absolutely fantastic. I think it's really good quality. It's really well written. It's really well shot. It's really well acted. Absolutely love the costumes. Think the costumes are absolutely amazing. I have to say it. The costumes in this, even though I do like the 1980s version, they piss all over those. I'm sorry. They make them look like they've come out of a second-rate panto by comparison, because the costume design in this is really intricate. It's really detailed. The fabrics are very rich. There is CGI in the show. The CGI is not so irksome that you kind of get taken out of the world. There's a lot of plotting and subplotting. The performances are generally good. We're going to talk about the cast in a minute, but for me, so far, episodes 1 and 2 are 10 out of 10 so far. I would say, obviously I've got to see the rest of the show before I pass ultimate kind of judgment on it, for whatever my opinion's worth. But yeah, so far I'm really liking it. and thought it was great. So, in quick summary, gentlemen, Blue, jump in. Your thoughts on episodes 1 and 2.
Okay, so I said again, the 1980 version came out before I was born. I heard of it. I never watched it, and I heard about the book. So going into this, I had fresh eyes. And episode 1 is an hour and 10 minutes long, and like we said, with something like Masters of the Air, with so much fluff and filler and kind of like ending credits, this felt like a legit, an actual hour and 10-minute movie. And episode 2 is 59. We'll say an hour. Production design fantastic. In terms of big sequences, big wide shots. And I said too with the main actor, it's Leroy, forget, I'm bad with names, but it's like, is it Hiroyuki
Sanada? I think that's his name.
Yes. Okay. So he's been in John Wick. He's been in Bullet Train. Fantastic actor. I
Wolverine.
I watch this on Hulu, and Hulu does have the English dub version, which I know some people in the past weren't big fans of dub versions. He does speak English if you watch films like Bullet Train. So the sequences that it's all in Japanese, you can tell that he did his own voiceover in English, which I thought was very good. It didn't feel like it was some cheap, dubbing like back in the 80s and 90s. So, and there's so much to unpack with this. I know some people were critical about the 1980 version, almost like Dune, where they kept a lot of stuff out. People I've talked to and seen reviews that said they read the book, said this is a lot more book accurate compared to the 1980 version, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I said earlier when we were not on air was that I liked the fact that actually the first 20 minutes is all really the Japanese perspective, and it sets up the political pond that we're about to find ourselves dragged into. I won't summarize the plot again. I did that earlier, but we'll go and read IMDb.
Right, for everyone here, I was kind of trying to do a quick recap for Leroy and Darth with the whole 15 minutes into 1 minute.
Yeah, no, that's good. So Darth, who has read the book, big fan of the book, big fan of the 1980s show. We did a stream about that already.
Okay.
A lot of the second time on episodes 1 and 2.
Okay. A lot of the characters are very familiar because they've been in a lot of movies, but the convergence of them is very reminiscent to Last Samurai. So, contrary to what someone might think when they first see it, this is not actually a prequel to The Last Samurai. As for the series itself, I love 1980 Shogun. I always will. I read the book that was 30 years ago. It as Blue already said, it is a better. It is more honest in adapting the book to the screen. That is true. However, this series, unlike the 1980 series, is a distinctive upgrade from the original. And some characters in particular really stand out. Yabu, Mariko, and the character Fujiko Fujiko especially has been relegated from a side character that you only saw for maybe 10 minutes in total. And they seem to be doing something really important with that character. So that's off the top of my head what I have to say about it.
Okay, thanks very much for that. Leroy, your second take, please.
Okay. Basically, I agree with all you guys. I never read the book, but I saw the original Shogun in the 90s when I rented it on VHS. I only saw it once. These first 2 episodes I've already seen twice already, and it just goes to show how good the show is. 10 out of 10. While I'll probably give the original Shogun about a high 8 at best. But this one of the reasons why I like this one, even though it's just 2 episodes, because like I said before we found out we weren't live, it's told from the Japanese point of view, and it amazes me because for someone who's stationed in Japan for 3 years, even though I don't speak fluent Japanese, I was surprised that I knew some of the words that they were saying. So, and also, well, since we're talking about characters, I'm not going to go into full depth on it. I'm liking the main character played by Hiroki Sanada, Lord Toranaga. To me, he's the ultimate good guy in this because he's loyal to the heir. This guy I do not like.
This is very interesting.
I like shows where there are good guys and bad guys, and good guys win. Like I said, I never read the book. I only saw the original Shogun once, and I don't know how Lord. Go back a second. Go back. Him. You want to talk about scheming? I don't know how Lord Taranaga even trusts this guy.
Yeah, he's really he's a proper schemer.
But I also want to say about Blackthorn, unlike the Richard Chamberlain's Blackthorn, I'm not really liking him that much because yes,
are you talking about the portrayal of the character or the performance?
The portrayal of the character, not the actor.
Okay, yeah, sure. He's less sympathetic for sure.
Yeah, you guys. I just want to make sure everyone has seen the 2 episodes, right? Because I don't want to spoil anything. All right, he tells Lord Taranaga and Mariko, and basically all the people who are with Lord Taranaga about what the Portuguese and the Catholics are doing there and what their bases were. But the thing is, he's not doing it out of the goodness of his own heart or because it's the right thing to do. He has an ulterior motive, and for me personally, I don't trust people with you never trust a person who has an ulterior motive. So it's maybe he'll change. I don't know. Like I said, it's the first 2 episodes, but it's really good how the producers, make probably the only white main character extremely two-faced. No different than the guy who serves under Lord Taranaga, who's also scheming.
Yeah, he's
to me, the main good guys are Lord Taranaga, Lord Hamachu, who's the old guy who's very loyal to the Lord Taranaga, and Mariko.
He is pretty duplicitous. I don't know what Toxic's saying here, but I'm pretty sure he's saying something rude to us. So just going to say hello to a few people. Yeah, damn, we came on I didn't even do a countdown. I just went, right, we're going live. Because we literally been on for almost half an hour thinking we were on and we weren't. How one of us didn't spot that, I don't know.
I trust the host.
Good to see you. Dan Marshall says he agrees. Great to see nuanced characters acted with subtlety and depth. I like it. Worried by the trailers since there was a distinct lack of absence of Blackthorn. Thought it was going to be a girl boss focus things. Turns out it follows the book very well. Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, I like the fact that the female characters in this are shown to be very clever because even though in this time period in Japanese culture, the women,
are second-class citizens.
Yeah, they are second-class citizens, but they have their own networks of power within that, and they do. And were very good at manipulating things, and that's already coming across, particularly in episode 2. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes, go for it.
There was one scene that really bothered me, and it was in episode 1. And I'm the last person to judge a culture. My dad raised me to treat people as people and never judge a culture, but the scene I'm talking about is where one of Lord Tarnaga's men makes a mistake, and then to own up to that mistake, he decides to not only commit suicide, but to wipe out his entire bloodline. Kill his baby. That. Now I'm glad they didn't show that scene of him actually killing his baby, but if that is part of a culture, then that is a messed up culture. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it was at the time. But I mean, all cultures back then did very what I would call medieval things. We had torture chambers and all kinds of horrible shit. Go on, Blue.
We're talking about killing babies, man. To me, babies are sacred to me.
Sure.
Remember, even in 300, that was people love 300 for what it is and over the top. But remember the whole when they show Leonidas being bored and Spartans, they're perfect, and they're looking at they're over a cliff and looking down. If he wasn't born perfect, they were taking babies and just that's what they're doing.
I don't know how people. I'm a self-described history buff, so I love history, but I don't know how some people back then around the world could live like that. And I guess because I'm living from a 21st century viewpoint, but it's
but it's a different time, man. It's life came cheaper. People killed each other in the streets.
Let me. I'll say something about this.
Darth, jump in.
the past is like going to another country. They do things differently there. That's true. Now, what's important to us wasn't important to people in the past. What's important to people in the past is not important to us. It's just, and it's not enough to say people, well, it's just a different time. Well, sure, it's a different time, but what are we talking about? We're modern people. What does it mean to be modern? We think of being modern as technology. We have TV, we have airplanes, we have the internet. Well, that's true, but that's not really what being modern is. Being modern is having features like equal justice before the law, or transition of power without violence. And other things that we can probably think we can write our stuff on the whiteboard. Things that we have from classical liberalism that people don't have. We come from a classical liberal society. They do not. We have a primacy of the individual. They do not. People in the past, and this is true universally, had a very strong sense of the family as primary. So everything that they do is to the betterment of their family.
Oh, Lance. So with the power of technology and Google, I did translate what Lord Toxic said to us.
Yeah.
No,
it's not repeatable then.
No, it is. No, it says, "Gentlemen, I look forward to the evening."
Oh, very good.
So,
I think he put. What about the second one?
Oh, give me a minute then. Trying to do one at a time.
Yeah, because I think he speaks a bit of Japanese.
Oh, yes, Wes is he's culture when he wants to be.
Yeah,
Thank you, Darth Plato.
When he wants to be. Yeah, no, thank you for that insight. Well, look, let's go back to the show and get on to the topic we were on when we realized I'm sorry,
but that was the only negative I find the entire. I had to bring that up because it's,
no, sure. I mean, that's a I don't think that's a negative of the show. I think it's an accurate depiction of what happened.
Second one, Lance, is I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying it very much. So
that's probably just something he's saying to someone else. Okay, right. Talking about the characters,
husband,
and the acting and so on. Just want to say again for the second time, I think the acting very good across the board, particularly like Anna Sawai. I think you pronounced that.
Yeah.
As I think her character's called Hiroki. Is that right?
No, I think it's Mariko. Her name's Mariko.
Mariko. Sorry. Yeah, do correct me if I.
And that's Japanese actors. That's not his name.
Japanese actors are first class. Particularly like this character and this actor. Love his costume. So you are looking at a very, very strong cast. I can tell that the one thing that's going to divide people is Cosmo Jarvis's performance, and part of the reason for that is this unusual accent that he puts on, that I think it was Dan Marshall said is an interesting combination of Tom Hardy and Richard Burton. Yeah, here's the comment, and in fact was when we were putting this comment up, Dan, that we realized we were not live, so I'm just putting it up again. He's portrayed with a lot less sympathy, and of course he's not Dr. Kildare, so you're not gonna have that kind of immediate affinity.
Well, Lance, I like this actor better than Richard Chamberlain. Even though Richard Chamberlain's Blackthorn was okay, I like this actor because, like I said, the character he plays is not someone I trust my back to, because he has an ulterior motive. Even though, like I said, it's still early in the show, but he's not just telling Lord Toranaga and his people what the real reason the Portuguese are there out of the goodness of his own heart. He has an ulterior motive. Yeah. And to me, that's just as bad as what the Portuguese are doing. So the character, so I think the actor Cosmo Jarvis, I think he's doing a superb job because I already don't like his character.
Well, yeah, and he's got his own agenda very clearly. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on.
But I look. You say you know Cosmo Jarvis?
I don't know him personally. Oh. I know his other work. I've seen his other work, and he's very good.
Him up. He was born in New Jersey. His mom is Armenian American. His dad is British, and he moved to England when he was just a few months old.
Yeah,
so that's why he's a little bit dark skinned.
He spent most of his life in the UK. Darth, what do you think of him compared to Richard Chamberlain?
I prefer Chamberlain. I'm not really sure. I don't know anything about acting, so I can't really comment beyond that. But there's just something about Chamberlain, the way he carried the role, the way he expressed himself, his outrage, his sadness, his sense of apologetic air, his excitement, especially his excitement. I'm looking forward to seeing how this guy plays out the jumping around scene. We'll get to that.
If they have that in there, I forgot about that scene.
That scene is that scene with Chamberlain was quite strange.
We're only 2 episodes in. Let's wait a little longer before we start comparing their acting chops.
I think it's too early to say who's better.
I agree with Darth Plato, but what I like about Richard Chamberlain's character in Shogun is that he didn't have. Even though I only saw the original once, he seemed to not have an agenda. This guy,
when he was talking to his men, he was always saying, "Rich's gold. We're going to do this. We're going to do that," and then, the rest of the time he didn't really sort of commit to that too much. But he always kind of had his own things going on. But I think this guy's being played as more duplicitous, whereas with Chamberlain, it came across more like he was saying those things just to please his men, which is also duplicitous when you think about it. So I guess we'll see. I like, of course, we had Mifune playing Tanaga in.
Yeah, he died like 9 years. If the original Shogun came out in 1982, Toshiro Mifune died in 1989.
Yeah, so this actor's playing Tanaga here. I think he's great. I mean, he's a huge name, does really well. Now, anyone else want to say anything about any of the actors or their performances before I move on to the production?
Someone said it, but like not even his voice mannerisms, but man, he looks like a cousin of Tom Hardy. I swear, a couple times I was looking up this actor, I'm like, he just seems so familiar. He's not, but like he feels like I swear, like he's across.
He does look like Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
No.
Like I don't know the name. I don't know the name of the actor, but the guy that plays
Osmo Jarvis.
Yeah, the guy that plays Jabu. When he comes riding in on the town on his horse, they have this look on his face that just tells you, do not play cards with this man. Yeah, I can't wait to see how this guy plays out the rest of the series because I love how he's playing the character.
Yeah, you talking about this guy right here?
Yeah,
he played one of Thor's friends in the movie Thor. And he was in 2016. There was a movie called Silence where he played a villain, which was based on a true story, starring Liam Neeson and Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver. It's called Silence. It came out in 2016. He played a villain who was persecuting Christians in Japan.
Yeah. So
he's a good actor. I forgot his name, but I liked him better in Thor. But like I said, I don't even know what his character is. You like you said, you don't want to play cards with him. So
well, yeah, sorry, go on.
I don't know how Lord Toranaga even trusts this guy because he's supposed to serve Lord Toranaga.
So let's talk about the production a little bit. It's quite amazing that this has turned out as well as it has because it had massive production issues. First of all, shooting was delayed, not by the pandemic. Pre-production was taking so long. The prep for the show, I'm assuming things like costumes being made and all that kind of stuff. And originally it was all going to shoot in Japan. That it was getting towards the end of 2019, and they were about to lose the rights for the book if they didn't shoot something. So one day's filming took place in England, and they did a shoot in London, and Hiroki Sanada travelled to London with some crew members, a second unit, to film one sequence, and that's basically his horse riding by fire, which is your poster. And because they got that shot in the can, it was deemed, you can then say we started shooting. So therefore, the production's underway. So therefore, you get to retain the rights. Then, of course, the pandemic happened. So, in some ways, I think the pandemic helped them a little bit because they got to carry on with the prep, costumes, all of that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it meant that shooting in Japan, because of all the COVID tests, travel problems, all the rest of it, was no longer viable. So in the end, British Columbia doubled for Japan. So that's where a lot of the filming took place. And they frequently used Port Moody to capture numerous scenes. So all this foliage and outdoor stuff and the coast, the rocky coastline, this is all Canadian. The Ahsoka castle scenes were captured in a studio in Vancouver, so shitload of green screen. Yeah, so these are Canadian rocks. So yeah, the majority, not all of it, but the majority of the shoot was in British Columbia, Canada, tiny bit of it in London. And they
seen here.
They did a couple of shots in Japan. They did a little bit in Japan, but not much.
Lance, can I say something? I forgot one character I also like, but I think he's a minor character. Rodriguez.
Yeah, he's a great character.
Yes, I liked him because he's
a great character.
I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy, but he's straight up honest.
Well, he's another one who's...
And even after Blackthorn saved his life, Blackthorn and the other guy, the Japanese guy, saved his life. Rodriguez stayed true to who he was, and he let Blackthorn know what was going to happen.
Yeah,
and he's kind of opened Blackthorn's mind about what Japan's really like, and he needs to basically forget everything he knew about what the real world is all about. And that's what I liked about Rodriguez.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The character is a little bit better at taking advice. Darth, is this the scene you were referring to earlier?
Yeah, it was. That the show wasn't live at the time, but yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah. This sequence is in the book where he helps try and save this guy to a degree.
Yeah, it's not exactly like the book. They leave out the guy who's trying to commit suicide to get Yabu's attention.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that was interesting. It was quite a good sequence. Yeah. Well, there we go. Japan and Canada.
Yeah, the scenes are beautiful. I didn't know this was filmed in British Columbia. I like this scene also. I mean, it seems everyone's on the same page or getting on the same page.
Well, yeah, Ron, how much place is there in Japan to have a shot like that where you have trees in the background? There's not a lot of place in Japan left to do that.
I can tell you, I was stationed in Okinawa, so the only place in Japan I've ever been to was Okinawa and Tokyo.
Right, and it looked pretty similar, the landscape outside of the cities, of course. I'm talking about.
I have to say so. I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, mainland Japan is extremely overpopulated, to say the least.
Well, yeah. Look at the it's the size of California.
Yeah, Vincent Vega, we agree, mate. I gave it 10 out of 10 already, based on the episodes so far.
Yeah.
My rating may change. They may go full Masters of the Air and cock up episode 4. We never know. Maybe those Japanese chimneys will be incorrect. We'll have to wait and see. But, so far, I'm loving it. No complaints, really. Nothing. I couldn't find fault in it, really. I
don't think you can find fault in this version, even if you tried. Like I said, the reason why I give the show already 10 out of 10 is because of the characters. And,
yeah, but
and how it's told from a Japanese point of view.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd never give a show 10 out of 10 just on the characters alone. That might get it a 7 or an 8. If it's a historical show, the production design has got to be first class. It's got to look like it's set in the time, and it does. Everything about it feels authentic.
They might be a bit too clean for the being in that time.
Yeah. There's lots of reference.
I agree with 10 out of 10.
Yeah, they also left out the part about Blackthorn freaking out because they wanted to give him a bath. They should have kept that in the new series.
He did
Well,
say
it's in there a little bit when he says,
Yeah.
"But you want me to take more than one bath a week?" I thought that was kind of
they're
I
calling
remember that
attention.
scene.
They're calling attention to the fact that people in those days didn't really have hygiene like we do now.
yeah.
That's
bathing
probably why they had
bathing
low
regularly
life
didn't become a
expectancy.
thing until like the second half of the 1700s.
Right, damn. Japanese people are ahead of us.
Actually, hold on.
Oh yeah.
What do we think of Martin Alvito?
Who's that? Oh, the priest.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to cut that. The next thing I want to move on to after production is the religious aspect and the characters there. Yeah, all right. Well, we're kind of there, so let's move on. But yeah, just on the production, we've talked about where it was shot. I mean, the other thing as well is that it had more issues than just being delayed in pre-production. There was a lot of other stuff with it as well. People read on the Wikipedia page. There's a pretty detailed account of kind of the problems the show had getting started and so on. And it's amazing. Like I said before, it's amazing that it's turned out as well as it has. Really,
Problems haven't been that big as good as the show is.
Yeah, I think the delays maybe have helped it somehow.
Yeah.
You know, it's because they lost the original writer was a guy called Ronan Bennett, and he in January of 2020 he could no longer keep working on the scripts, so they started over from scratch with a new writer, and executive producer Justin Marks, working alongside his wife, supervising producer Rachel Kondo. The series writing team includes co-executive producer Shannon Goss, producer Matt Lambert, script editor Megan Huang, and staff writer Emily Yoshida. So seems like it was a really team effort to sort of pull it all together. And you know what? Sometimes a cauldron of writers like that can be too many cooks and it can be a real mess. So I think everybody must have been on the same page about what they wanted this show to be, because it feels to me it feels very coherent. It feels very like everyone's sailing in the same direction. I think Shielded Dragons gave them more time to get the costumes, but costumes are amazing in this. Amazing. Yeah, I never have more than 3 baths a week myself. So,
lucky bastard.
What's the boiling scene in this? Yeah, okay. I was going back to ask Darth if it was in the book. I'm guessing the answer to that is yes. Dan's qualification for 10 out of 10 there. Yeah, it's a pretty horrific scene in the book, right, Darth?
It's more graphic than the original Shogun, because I remember the boiling scene in the original Shogun. It wasn't that graphic.
That scene's not in the 1980 Shogun. I don't think it is.
No, it is. I remember. Even though I saw
it is.
It is. But it's just not as graphic as this one. This one was realistic.
It was very graphic. In fact, you could say they probably went overboard with it.
I don't know, man. I want to say something. I've had hot water burn on my belly, and with the point where my skin got peeled off. So imagine being put in a boiling cauldron for hours. I don't think that was overboard, man. I think that was pretty much accurate.
I was taken to the inaccuracy. I was talking about the necessity. Do we actually need to see what the guy was looking like?
Yeah. Well,
because you kind of got a shot of just before his body kind of fell apart almost, really.
Yeah. And also another thing that they did include that scene, but another thing that they left out is the scene where the Japanese went down into the hole where the prisoners were, and they captured one of the guys. They never showed what happened after that. But in the original series, they did show what happened to that. The prisoners were all brought up, but the Japanese guy stayed down there, and he was thrown a sword so he could kill himself. They didn't show that in this series.
Yeah.
This is an interesting point from David, and I did have the same thought myself, and I'm not an expert on flintlocks, 18th century flintlocks in a 17th century setting. Now, I did notice that the flintlocks were slightly sleeker in design, a lot more intricate, with more work on the body than the very, very basic pistol that Blackthorn had in the 1980 version, which was a lot more bulky. It was chunky, very little metal work on the body. They did look way ahead in terms of time, and apparently somebody has said that those particular flintlocks of 200 years, they're 200 years too early. My comment to you, sir, is: were you there? That's all I.
That's what Ridley Scott said when he made.
Yeah,
Exodus.
man, we can. You know, now
I don't. Sorry, I don't think that's a very good rejoinder.
Now that Ridley Scott set the bar for everyone to get out of these things.
No, actually, there may be something to that because I talked to someone in my gaming group yesterday who saw the Shogun, and he made that same point about the gun not really looking right. So
yeah, I mean,
I
did think that straight away. I thought, oh, that looks a bit, like a cooler version of what we got before.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thinking, is that historically correct? But I get why somebody might be a bit irked about that sort of thing. I think this boat is CGI, as is Blackthorn's, but they look good.
Yeah, I didn't even know this show had CGI because everything looks so real. I couldn't tell if there was CGI in it.
It's very well shot. Very well shot.
Actually, it's one thing I did ask you, Lance, when we were offline, is that, some wide shots nowadays, back in the day, they would have 20, 30, whatever, 400 or 500 extras versus now you see a wide shot of 10,000 troops. You're thinking it looks very authentic, but damn well that production wise, they weren't getting 6,000 extras. So we're assuming it's going to be a lot of CGI, but the way it's blended, it's from a distance, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, and it's lit well.
Yeah,
because you've got to light stuff in a certain way if you're gonna, blend it with effects, and it all just look very seamless. And yeah, I mean, it's some bits it's more obvious than others, but on the whole.
Well, something Dan Candy just said that, and I seen this video once made a couple years ago. They were breaking down CGI, and they said, CGI, especially the past decade, you'd be surprised how often it's there. But the thing is, people can't recognize good CGI, which is the point because you don't notice it. We're so used to recognizing bad CGI that it's there's so many shots in movies that, oh my God, I didn't know that was digital shot. I didn't even know Man of Steel that I thought Henry Cavill was wearing a cape the entire time. I didn't know that he never wore a cape. Every time he did,
I didn't know that either.
Henry Cavill and Man of Steel and BVS, Henry Cavill just had a straight suit on. The cape, and every time he was Superman was always a digital cape. And I'm like, I go back and I'm like, holy, I didn't know that.
You've just ruined Leroy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I did notice the part about.
And Man of Steel was the best Superman I ever saw.
Yeah, and if you watch any behind the scenes shots there, Cavill just wears the regular blue suit, but he's not wearing a cape.
Well, sorry, but discussion of superhero movies is banned on this channel, so we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
Sticking with the cinematography, there are 4 DOPs on the show. Most of it was shot by the director of photography. Most of the show was shot by Sam McCurdy, who did 5 episodes. Mark Laliberte, who did 2. Christopher Ross, who did 2, and Ariel Wetblad, 1 episode. I suspect that might have been the pickup unit in the UK. So you've got a single production designer, Helen Jarvis, fantastic job, and we'll check out to see what else she has done. 2 supervising art directors, Chris Beach and Peter Bonaris, and then I think also working under them, Andrew Lee and Grant van der Slut, which is a Dutch surname that I may or may not have pronounced correctly. Costumes designed by Carlos Rosario. Carlos Rosario has previously worked on such shows that include Alien Romulus, which is not out yet, Girl in the Spider's Web, The Negotiator, The Brave, Don't Breathe, The Last Ship, and La Femme Musketeer. Quite a few music videos but not a huge amount. So I mean, pretty good then. 23 costume department credits overall. So they've been in the business since 2000, but well, pretty good is what I have to say. Carlos, superb job, and you can tell he went all out with these costumes. Let's look at the credits of the main DOP here. Sam McCurdy has worked on. Let's have a look. He has worked on Game of Thrones, 1 episode. The Peacemaker, Carnival of Monsters, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, 2 episodes. Pennyworth, Lost in Space, Into the Badlands, and various other shows. Le Mans. So yeah, he's been going for quite a while. Pretty good career by the looks of things. Started in the 90s. So I think a lot of the shots will probably be Sam McCurdy's on this show. I don't think we're going to see. That was a fun scene. I don't think we're going to see huge deviations from the book. Are there? I know there's a big battle at the end because it's talked about in 1980 Shogun, and the young boy in me was very upset we didn't get to see a huge battle. Are there other battles in the book, Darth, that occur before that, and apart from the ninja assault on the castle, which I can't wait to see?
Yeah, there were battles, but not like Sekigahara. That's the battle you're referring to is the Battle of Sekigahara. I think that's the most famous battle in the history of Japan.
Right.
So I think that there were other engagements. I'm pretty sure that there were some engagements down in the south involving Oda's people. Mariko is related to those people, and in the series they refer to them as Garoda. So,
let's talk about this scene, because this was a pretty interesting scene.
You mean Mr. Cock-a-doodle-doo?
Yeah, and at first, I do you know what? At first, I did not realize that was a guy. And the woman who's the concubine of the Lord. I don't want to get too much into spoilers for people who haven't seen it. But this is a kind of a sexual scene, shall we say? What is the woman? What's going on in the mind of the woman here? Do we think she's sort of showing?
I think she's trying to manipulate the whole situation. Like the guy was about to leave and give his master and the woman privacy, but she thought maybe the master is a cuckold. So like when I first saw this scene and the master, I thought the master was like, what the hell are you doing? And then he realized, I think I like this. So
it's a play on voyeurism.
Master. What'd you say, Lance?
It's more of a play on voyeurism, I think, rather than him being a cuckold. Well, because he's sitting there. I mean, he can get involved if he wants. It's not like he can't. Right. She knows. Vincent Vega says she knows he likes to listen. Shielder Wall thought she was a high class prostitute. I actually thought she's his lady. Did I get that wrong?
No, he didn't know who she was. The guy right there introduced her to him.
Oh, okay. So she's like his. So she's like his lady of the night for the night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The book. I think the book referred to as pillowing.
Pillowing.
Yeah. I thought that was Kiku.
It's this lady.
Yeah, that's Kiku.
Yeah. So that's that's a recurring character throughout the Shogun story. She's highly skilled, very highly sought after, very valuable contract. I don't remember.
Oh, okay, that character. Yeah, I know who we are talking about now from the 1980s version.
Right. So,
like I said, I never read the book, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I haven't read the book in 30 years. I don't remember what her involvement was in being near Yabu, but you can be sure being around somebody like that, it means it's probably not good.
Mm.
No, indeed. This actress is very good, has to be said. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, that was an interesting scene. So I like the older lady. I like the actress. She's great. This character.
Is she a nun?
I thought she was like the mother-in-law to Toranaga. Is that not? I was a little bit confused whether she was like the head of the household help or whether she was a mother-in-law. I was a little bit confused.
Well, the costume that she's wearing is very similar to what you saw in 1980 Shogun, where after Blackthorn got out of jail and he was talking to Toranaga for the second time. Toranaga was on the boat with the little kid, and when they came to shore, and the kid were talking in Japanese, and then this lady shows up who's dressed very similar in that costume. So you go to that scene, and I think it's episode 3, I think, and compare these scenes. I think this costume is meant to mirror that scene.
Okay,
but I like her character. Because she's trying to convince Lord Toranaga that the only chance the heir, I forgot the heir's name, but the heir that he's sworn to protect, the only chance they have of protecting and making sure that heir lives to his right to take his rightful place is that he has to turn into a villain, basically.
Well, she wants him to become Shogun, but he's like, well, if I become Shogun now, 4 against 1, I'll be defeated. The boy will be killed.
Yeah,
so
and at the same time, he also doesn't want power. He just wants. He's content with where his station is. All he wants is protect. Because if you watch the show, he's tired of all the death that's been going around. He can't stand it. And all he wants is to protect the child, keep his promise he made to his father, let the boy become the next Tycho, and maybe he could just retire. And I mean, he's like an honorable guy from what I've seen.
But there's a contradiction there, though. You cannot have a Tycho and a Shogun at the same time.
Right.
Okay. And he doesn't want to be Shogun.
Yeah.
Well, according to him.
According to it, that's what he says. But I think we'll find out later. He's not quite as tired of things as he may appear.
Yeah. By the way, a Tycho basically is a Shogun. What they did was they made up the term because when Hideyoshi Taiko asked the emperor to make him Shogun, he said, well, there's never been a Shogun who wasn't an aristocrat. You're not an aristocrat, so we'll just make up a new title and we'll give that to you. That's what the Taiko is. It's basically a discount Shogun, and that's what the whole angle is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Shield Wall of Dragons. I just said as much. There's an echo in here. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be Shogun, especially when you play the Milton Bradley board game. So, yeah, indeed. Yeah, she's. I like all this. The thing for me with this as well was it was really fascinating watching all this manipulation going on, and with even like the female characters and the help and people influencing in little ways. I love the scene with the little lord as well.
I thought that was a girl. I had no idea that was a boy.
I thought it was a girl at first. This character was a proper wanker.
He's too big of a brute to be a priest.
I mean, hey, there's probably a lot of.
I mean, he would break Blackthorn in half.
Tom Cruise isn't in it until episode 4. I think, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Didn't I say already that this is not a prequel to Last Samurai?
Last Samurai.
Yeah,
which was a good movie.
People are asking that. No, it's not.
Hey, can I say something about the scene?
Yeah.
Okay, this scene. Okay, this show is basically playing with history. It's not a period piece properly because it's playing around with something that really happened. So there is deviation, but it's dramatic effect what the driver. This scene, however, is not one of those things. When this guy is flipping out about an Englishman being there, it's like, you got to kill this guy. You got to kill this guy. That is very believable because, and I'll tell you, the Spanish, the Portuguese as well, but the Spanish were very jealous about keeping the routes to their places, the New World, etc., secret. There was an incident in
Makes sense.
there was an incident in the 1560s where where England acquired the rudder notes of a Portuguese navigator or a Spanish navigator, one or the other. And they brought it to England. The Habsburg ambassador found out about that, and he hired a gang of tough guys to break into the place, trash the place. They killed everybody there, and just to take the thing back. That's how seriously they take this sort of thing. So when this guy flips out about an Englishman being there, that is very believable.
Yeah, and I mean that it's also the clashing of religious ideals as well, isn't it? And,
I think that's the lesser of the things.
But he doesn't, like I said, he looks more like a barroom bully than a priest.
Well, priests were discount bucket back then.
There was a lot of advantages to being in the church in those days. In fact, it was the way families worked is that the head of the family was trained. The oldest son, was trained to be the head of the family. The
younger son was trained to be either
other things
priest or doctor or military man.
That's right. There were advantages to having a son in the curia or trained by a military expert in the army. Have another guy go to the law school and have a law degree. They were very tactical about these things. Your entire life was mapped out for you by your parents. You were told who to marry.
That still happens in some countries.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this particular guy, who knows? Maybe he lost a bet.
There you go. So blue collar, there's still hope for you yet. Maybe you'll be forced to marry somebody.
Yeah.
Hey, blue collar is not the only single one on here.
Hey. So some people had arranged marriages. They weren't even born yet.
I think we're all single on here. That's why we're on here.
That's my choice. Yeah.
Because we have the freedom to do what we want. So, there you go. There's one benefit to it. I mean, this scene was really well done. I like anything with rain. Very Ridley Scott. This whole bit.
Yeah.
But it was good. And
I liked it too, especially because he can smell the BS in the air. You can translate for me. You're not really translating all my words perfectly to the guy, are you? And the Japanese guy can kind of tell something's going on here. You're not being truthful, dude. You're twisting my words into what you want to hear. Call me a pirate and stuff. And
I like the way that Toranaga's queued up on that. And even his the lady, even she doesn't quite translate them exactly word for word, but she's doing it as close as she can get with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's doing like Mariko when she translates for Blackthorn. She's doing it not to get him in trouble. She's trying to do it to the best of her knowledge.
Yeah. She's condensing it.
So was I think Darth Plato mentioned Martin Alvito. If that's how you say his last name, he was translating accurately, even though Blackthorn didn't trust him.
Yeah,
he wouldn't dare
translating what Blackthorn said accurately.
Yeah,
he wouldn't dare fudge that to Toranaga.
Yeah. Martin Alvito is played by British actor Tommy Bastow.
Now, I will say this: I like Martin Alvito also. The non-Japanese people I like are Rodriguez and Alvito because they're honest. Alvito doesn't seem to fully approve of what the Catholic Church is doing. Their ulterior motive, because they really don't care about people's souls; they want power. He feels that he's powerless to do anything about it, so he's trying to make the best of it. Because if he knows he tries to do something about it, he'll end up in prison, like the other priest that Blackthorn meets. So I like him, Toranaga, Rodriguez, because at least they're honest and have a sense of decency. Blackthorn, like I said, it's still the first 2 episodes, but Blackthorn has an ulterior motive. He doesn't tell the truth just because it's the right thing to do. He's doing it because he's trying to gain something out of it. And
do we feel we maybe should have spent a little bit longer with Blackthorn's men? Because to be honest, apart from the fact that they were all covered in filth and beards, I couldn't tell you any of them apart one from the other. Whereas with the casting of the 1980 version, everybody had quite a distinctly different look, even though, yes, they were all filthy and they had a beard. Here, that they just all mesh into one.
I think they did that because supposedly, because I don't know if I've mentioned this, the whole Shogun story was based on an actual person named William Adams who landed in Japan. So they're supposedly out of 100 crewmen, only 23 left lived, and when they were taken out off the boat on Japan, they were like near deaths. They were still dying of starvation.
I know they've got scurvy and all that kind of thing. None of them were particularly memorable. They're not going to be huge characters anyway, so that that's not a problem.
Now, is that different from the 1980 or the book? Because in this show, I guess only 12 survived, because he goes, like, we're one of 12 crew members, so I'm not sure.
No, 11. Don't forget the guy that got boiled alive.
Well, I was saying, but like you're saying, like he's 23, but like I know when they're captured, there's only 12 left.
Yeah, well, the book is a work of fiction. It's just loosely based on that guy.
Yeah, I think the real Blackthorn, who's William Adams, I think he was one of 23 crewmen that survived.
Okay.
Darth, anything comment on that?
Yeah, in the original in the Shogun 1980, the Captain General does survive. He doesn't shoot himself.
Okay.
Yeah. And but he dies in captivity.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but even like that was a powerful scene as well. It's like, he's talking to the pilot and Blackthorn, like we left with, what was it, 12 ships and 500 people, and now we have one ship left, and just like at that point he's so like distraught, and it's like, man, I got nothing left to live for. So it just shows you how much fortitude it takes to be on a ship for like months at a time, and like, hundreds of guys are dying of scurvy and starvation, and I mean, he hands him the gun. You can't blame the guy.
Well, I agree with what Blackthorn said. Suicide is a coward's way out. That's all I'm going to say about that. There's no reason to try to take your own life.
This scene was horrendous. This scene with the baby and the knife and the whole, because the guy disgraced himself, and I think that the whole kind of the culture of honor is covered really well in the first two.
Yeah.
In fact, this is the scene I was talking about. This
I know.
Really messed me up.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't see stuff, but we could have had babies on pikes. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, during that scene, I was wondering if you may hear like an off-screen cry from a baby or something.
I did wonder if we were going to see a blood splatter go across.
Honestly, because that's the tone of this era. So
yeah.
Well, I'm glad they didn't show it. I mean,
they're not going to show that. No way. Now, what I was going to add is, as far as William Adams goes, he had a chance to return home, but he stayed there for some reason. There were other people of that crew that did go home. The Captain General did survive. He didn't die. So
interesting.
Yeah. So, like I said, they are playing with history here. There's other things, but I'll mention it toward the end when you asked at that point.
Yeah.
But of course, Clavell, fictionalized the book so he could do. He fictionalized it so he could do what he wanted.
Another thing interesting about William Adams, and I suppose you could probably put this on Blackthorn too, is he served under Sir Francis Drake during the Spanish Armada campaign.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Darth, that baby looks a bit like you, man. So, you're not telling us.
Also, Lance, watching this scene, I did like the whole as her husband disgraced him and their honor, and she's telling the other woman like, well, without honor, I have no reason to live, and that's their culture. But she's like, well, your master, he's gonna give you new purpose now. New purpose is you have to he wants you to live. Like, you don't have the luxury of death. Like their whole aspect of life and death for these people, death is the ultimate honor and sacrifice. For some people, staying alive is a big disgrace.
Yeah. Yeah, all of that stuff.
Yeah, but to kill your child, let them because you messed up. Come on.
Yeah, that's.
Just someone mentioned in the chat about whether they're a mission of peace or not because they're raiding settlements. To be clear, Spain and Portugal were in what's called personal union. The king of Spain and Portugal were the same guy, and Spain was at war with England at the time. So,
right.
They were not at war with Japan, so we shouldn't necessarily, just because they're raiding places along South America doesn't mean they're going to be raiding Japan. That wouldn't be a very wise thing to do.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah. Like what Shieldwall said, like 100%. Sometimes we deal with that nowadays. Like the sins of your father is passed on to your children.
Yeah.
I did like that too, Lance.
Blackthorn, one of Blackthorn's man. Hey, Lance, go back a bit. This guy, he seems to be extremely loyal to Blackthorn. He he said, "We are alive because of this guy."
I do remember that.
I mean,
I would have liked one more scene with these guys, even just like a scene with them. Not big, 6-8 lines tops. Just like giving each of them a line between themselves, maybe after he'd been taken out the hole.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Black Swan doesn't have good qualities. It's just that, like I said, he had an ulterior motive, and to me, that's not an honorable thing.
I don't think we've seen this scene yet, because I don't remember a scene with one of the other crew members at the top of the ladder, unless this is the guy that got added to the cooking recipe.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because this is all from episode 1.
Is it? Good to see Melvin.
No, I did like 2 Lance. If you noticed that, like, I did appreciate the makeup job. Like, you look at their cheeks were sunken in. These guys look very pale. Like like, it's a crew member. The crew member doesn't have guys that are 300 pounds. These guys, they all look purposely malnourished and sickly looking. Like, that adds to the tension of, like, they've been stuck on a ship for whatever 3 or 4 or 5 months.
I mean, this was a CGI sequence, but God, it looked good.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, this was all CGI. They may have filmed a couple of rowboats and used them as.
That's what you said. You know, if from a distance, you can't really tell. Like,
no, and you get that shot of it as well, and the whole thing is CG. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's realistic too. There was a Spanish ship called the San Felipe that crashed on Japan as well, and it was still seaworthy, and they dragged it back to port. They used 200 ships to tow it, 200 smaller boats.
Wow,
that's crazy.
So that seems actually believable.
Yeah. Yeah, this show isn't very diverse. Well, it's an all Mexican cast in episode 3, so
we could still see more
very diverse. I mean, it's told from a Japanese point of view, so
no, he's being facetious. That's Sax. He's kidding. Sorry, guys, he's kidding around. But we know him. I think, yeah. I mean, the show is as diverse as it needs to be. The casting is bang on. And I don't want to see in this story, I don't want to see some random guy from the Caribbean or you know, some character that wasn't in the book shoehorned in, you know, just so we can make this version of Shogun more multicultural. It doesn't need to be. It's already a story about another culture. And clash of cultures and clash of religious ideals, and we already have 3 different cultural narratives in it.
Yeah.
We don't need 5 more. You know, this is the story of Shogun. Let it be Shogun.
Yeah.
You know.
Can I say something?
I need to have my Sicilian culture represented.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
In real life, in real history, though, there was an African who was adopted in Japan as a samurai. I forgot his name.
Oh, but, yeah, no, I know that story, and I'm not saying these stories don't exist, but in the book, in the Shogun book, the characters they've got in the show are the characters that are in the book. And that guy you're referring to went into the service of Lord Odo. Lord Odo is related to Mariko. Wow. Damn, that's a movie or a miniseries waiting to be made. You know, Caribbean Ninja or whatever.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, so it's not in
Netflix. I think it's a cartoon on Netflix. I haven't seen it yet, but I heard about it.
It's a cartoon on Netflix already.
That's what I heard. Like, very little known about the guy, because no one knows what happened to him, and all historians agree that he did exist, but like no one knows like if he died in battle or if he died of old age or what. Don't worry, the Netflix TV show will give you the answer. This is a completely CG shot of Osaka Castle. Great, very accurate as well. I've seen an aerial shot of the original. Yeah, beautifully done. I really like it. It almost looks real. I mean, I can't even tell it's CGI. Yeah. This scene was amazing. I love this scene. Just like the tension. It was so underplayed by everybody. And I think
you know, if it hadn't have been an all Japanese cast, I think this would have been the sort of frisson between these two powerful people is great. You know, it's pure political chess, and of course he's taking a big risk by essentially making himself a hostage. This man under his command has an outburst, mainly because he's upset about his haircut. But yeah,
he doesn't like how his lord's being treated. He thought he was going to stand up for his lord.
Looks like these Japanese actors were pretty dedicated, because that guy, I'm pretty sure that guy's had his head shaved. I don't think he's wearing a makeup cap.
Oh
no, he's had his head shaved.
Yeah, he's had his head shaved. So you know that. I'm telling you now, right? If this had been a load of Western actors and that had been the look of the everybody would have been, oh no, I can't, you know, no. Japan, different culture. Oh yeah, all about the film. Yeah, well, I've got to have my head shaved. Okay, let's do it. You know, so
I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm gonna watch these episodes again after this, man.
Yeah. I've seen episode 2 twice, because there was so much more to unpick in episode 2. Yeah, and I just love these robes, man. I want a bathrobe like this to stride around the house. You know,
but the way they sat down and how they try to. That's almost, it's like ballet.
Yeah,
you know
very very much so. It feels like they've done it 1,000 times before, and it needs to be adhered to. And there's a rank of seniority, distance seems to be important, lots of stuff like that. I really liked all that. Zach, you're the second person who said Tom Hardy. Reminds me of Tom Hardy. But
remember that's the first dialogue he says is like, yeah, it must be a new seating arrangement here.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't get over the fact that this guy played the guy who plays Lord Taranaka.
Oh yeah,
played Scorpion in Mortal Kombat.
So good.
And in Wolverine, he was a complete a-hole.
Yeah.
Didn't he play Scorpion in the original Mortal Kombat?
Nah.
No.
It was the new one.
The new one.
At least he was a good guy.
I haven't seen the new one.
Yeah.
Oh, the new one's okay. It was better than the original.
Yeah, the best part is arguably he's the best part of that movie.
Tom, I like the 80s Shogun, but this one is 10 out of 10 for me so far. We're all liking it. The panel all love it. We did a really good summary at the beginning that wasn't live and you'll never see again. And then we've done a really quick summary, which we did afterwards when we realized we weren't streaming. So yeah, but it's good. It's good. Atom Gray would definitely make his actors get their heads shaved.
I mean,
I'm already bald, so there's no need for me. So
gotta do Sigourney Weaver for Alien 3.
Vincent, don't know if you're a DOP. Sounds like you might be. I didn't really pick up on lens flare in when I was watching it.
I didn't.
I mean, you might have watched it on a massive telly, mate. I was just watching it on my Mac. So, anyone else notice that, Chris?
No, I didn't.
I was too much into the scenes and the acting. I mean, like I said, the acting and the characters alone give both episodes 10 out of 10 in my book.
Listen, man, I can be mean with my ratings. Collectively together, these two episodes are a 10. Perfect start. In fact, for me, it was really one pilot. Tom, it's good. It's good. Definitely watch it, mate. Worth a subscription to Hulu or Disney Plus.
Or FX. It's on FX.
FX, that's right. No Belgian roofs, but the Japanese roofs are historically correct. So it's all good. It's all good. All of this stuff was really great. And so there's
so I can't believe
we got two action scenes in the show. There's an assassin and that whole sequence, which is really
that's
good.
The end of episode 2. I like that scene. I thought that was badass.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. That's right near the end of episode 2. And then there's, I think earlier in episode 2, we have the guy out to be executed who were ambushed. Did you guys notice? Because then you have the people who basically were paid off to do that, who also were in on it, who also helped overwhelm the guards who were not in on it, they were then also executed. But did you notice when they were executed, the guys who did it took the swords off the bodies of the guys who had already been killed and killed them with their swords, not with their own swords, so that it all looked like they'd killed each other.
I think they were trying to cover their tracks.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that was a really nice detail. I picked up on that, and I thought, what are they doing?
I didn't pick up on that. I need to watch that again.
Watch it again. When they do the double cross, they kill them with the swords that are already on the ground, because you'll see they collect the swords up, and then they use those swords to kill those guys, and then those swords get put. I assume they get put back. I don't think we. Vincent's given this 11 out of 10, so that's pretty good, man. For
I have to agree with Vincent on that.
110%.
Yeah, and, John Travolta, good to have you on the stream, man. How's that private jet runway that you got at the end of your house doing? That must be a pretty big bill cleaning that every day. Don't think we've seen this scene yet, have we? Have we seen this scene?
I have. I think that's the beginning of
yes, we have.
episode 1. He arrives in the castle.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, I thought it was a different character from that. I forgot he's got this different. That's when he arrives at the castle. Yeah,
and that's his son.
Yeah,
I don't know if y'all have that scene, but one scene that what I like about Lord Toranaga is the interaction he has with his family. He and his wife are talking, and his wife is teasing him, and she says, "Yeah, all these years you still tease me." Something, and he makes a comment about her butt, and I'm like,
"Yeah,
that's a happy marriage."
That's played quite differently from the 1980 version.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a happy marriage right there. This is the beginning of episode 1.
That was a cool shot where they're in the ship and the guy's like, "Oh, cannonball," and you're not sure whether he actually knows what it is or not.
In a small detail too, remember the one guy's like dying, he pulls up his teeth and he goes starvation. He can tell by his gums and everything.
Yeah, that's a great scene where they come on board the ship and the men are so weak that most of them don't even react, even though some of them are alive.
Mm-hmm.
I always find it helps when I watch with my eyes open, man. Yeah, thanks for the reminder. Always shutting my eyes for too long. Yeah. So I do love these helmets. They are very cool, and this is in the beginning of episode 1. Very cool sequence. And yeah, when he looks up at the ship, I like this character again. Secret pigeons.
Yep.
Very Game of Thrones. I'll send a crow.
Yeah.
He works for Lord Toranaga.
Yeah. So and there's that whole thing of you've got a spy in the village, and all of that's set up really well. There's Ned Dennehy, who doesn't really make it much beyond this scene.
I'm trying to remember what movie I've seen him in. The captain that committed suicide.
He's been in a few things. He's been in quite a few things. Doesn't normally look quite as bedraggled as this. He was in Good Omens, Peaky Blinders. British actor, Winter King. I think I've met him actually, because I think he was in with Horses. Child 44. See, he's been working for it. He's a jobbing actor. Look at all these credits. The Eagle. Yeah, right. Okay.
I saw Robin Hood. I saw the Eagle. I don't.
That Robin Hood. Robin Hood's terrible. The Robin Hood with the D-Day. The Robin Hood. Not the Russell Crowe one with the D-Day invasion barges. Give me a break.
King Arthur. I liked King Arthur.
Rain of Fire is a really underrated.
Yes, that's where I remember him from. Rain of Fire.
Love that movie.
Yeah, the guy with the hawk. That's where I remember him from.
Yeah, the General. He's very good in that. So yeah, he's an Irish actor. British Irish. That's right. No relation to
Brian Dennehy.
Brian Dennehy. No. But
he's not that old. He'll be 60. He'll be 59 in December.
Yeah, man. So
he looks older than 50. He looks like he's in his 70s in there.
Well, all the guys look really old. That's an interesting shot. It's almost as if you're playing Shogun, the video game. Okay. Well, okay, I think we'll start to wrap it up. There are 15 people watching. Have you seen the show? If so, what do you think of it? I'd also like to hear, based on episodes 1 and 2 alone, in the chat, what would you give it out of 10? And don't forget that no Belgian ruse is not a qualification for your grading. So if you have seen it, tell us what you think. If you haven't seen it, are you going to watch it? Melvin Deeply says they're trying to humanize the Japanese more than the book. In the book, they were presented as very alien and difficult to be sympathetic towards, but here, some of them are likable already. Yeah, and I don't mind that. If that's a deviation from the book, in my view, it's a good one.
Then so be it, because they need. I think humanizing another culture is probably the best compliment and the right thing to do. I mean,
yeah, I would agree.
Because for this is me. For too long, you gotta remember, I grew up watching old Western movies like John Wayne and stuff like that, where basically anyone who wasn't white wasn't right. And for shows like how they're presenting the Japanese people in Shogun compared to the 1980s version, which was also good, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, point well made. I agree. I think it's listen, you're straight in with the Japanese perspective at the beginning, and I like that. Dan Candy's giving it 8.5 because he thinks Blackthorn is miscast. I think it's too early to judge his performance, but I think he's good enough. I think he'll probably get better. We'll see more nuance to him, and of course he's going to fall in love. So we know that storyline's coming. Let's see how that all plays out. It might be that I think he's going to work out fine. He may be the weak link, but we'll see. Shield Wall of Dragons. That's a Japanese army name, if ever there was one. 9.5 out of 10. Can't wait for next episode, mate. I'm with you. I can't wait as well. I think it's great. And I don't know if I'll do this every Wednesday, but guys, I may well do a regular slot on this to cover the rest of the show.
I'll be there.
So if you guys are all available on Wednesday nights, that'd be good. So do come and join me again. Fantastic. All right. So final thoughts, Leroy. Let's start with you.
Well, like I said, straight 10 out of 10. I can't wait to see episode 3. I like I said, I don't like the character of Blackthorn because I think, like I said, he's not an honest person. He has an ulterior motive. But what I like about the show is they got more good guys and bad guys. And the good, in my opinion, the main good guy is Lord Toranaga because he cares about his ward, who's the heir to the Taiko, and he cares about his people. So I could be wrong. Who knows what could happen in the later episodes? Maybe he's not as honorable, and maybe Blackthorn is not a bit of an asshole as we all thought he was, or as he made out to be. So,
but you're going to be watching this. You're going to be watching this.
Absolutely.
You're in for the long haul. Darth Plato.
I'd say the first episode's about 10 of 10. The second episode I give 9 of 10. The only problem I have with the second episode, and this might be a bit unfair because it is fictionalized history, is Blackthorn was kind of exaggerating the whole thing about the Spanish influence, the Treaty of Saragossa, the Treaty of Tordesillas. The Japanese would have already known that there was spheres of influence. What they didn't necessarily know is the Spanish Union, but that's not really going to come into play in the series. But because it's not going to come into play in the series, I didn't think it was necessary to force that drama here. I was a little disappointed by that. Let's see. The one thing I'll add that we didn't cover earlier, and I'll close with this, is I'm so grateful that they brought back from the 1980 series the drum guy.
Which character is that?
It's the guy on the boat doing the drum, the rhythmic drumming, the oarsman drumming.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, we didn't really get that storm at sea scene with
Yeah, there was.
Rodriguez.
He was in it.
Well, we got it, but it wasn't anything like this one. It was like it was in a
I know.
water tank, and it was just like not much of a storm. But yeah, we got it. But yeah, okay. It's good that we have the drum beats. Sure, percussion is always good. Lou,
Yeah, like I said, man, I sat down, I watched episode 1, written episode 2. It was like watching a fantastic 2-hour film. I get like what Leroy said about Blackthorn. I do like the characterization of like someone from England being in a foreign land, and land's almost like not the same at Masters of the Air, where like this guy calls these people savages. He doesn't understand their culture. Yes, it could be, considered savages because what they do, their honor system, killing themselves, their children, but like he doesn't understand the fact that he makes a lot of demands, and it's not always translated through the words, but your mannerisms. It's like, dude, you're in a different culture. You're a prisoner of war. You need to know your place. And he thinks he has more sway than what he does. And something like, yeah, him getting peed on, him getting like, they're giving him a bath and stuff, and they're shaving him down. Like, you're not in England anymore. If you don't understand and respect their culture, these people will actually kill you and cut your head off. You need to know where you're at.
And Blue Collar, I'm surprised they didn't do that because.
Well, I think because right now they're trying to use him. That's why they're using him, because they're trying to get information out of him and stuff. You can tell like they're using him as a basically like a big political pawn. But I do like that.
The beheading sequence comes at a slightly different place, and I liked it because actually this guy that you're seeing now, it's kind of set up at the beginning that he's probably going to be the guy that gets beheaded. That's what I thought, because you're kind of introduced to random villager.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, this guy's going to get his head lopped off. But it wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah. And like you said, Lance, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you make a good observation actually, because in the 1980 Shogun, when they did that scene, it literally came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I know. I remember screaming at my parents, going, "Shit!" like know.
I can't remember much from the original. Like I said, I saw it in the 90s and I only saw it one time. So I don't remember much from the original series. But all I remember, it wasn't a bad show.
I know that was 40 years ago for you, Leroy. So your memory's fading. This is a funny observation. Melvin Deeply says, he acts like a typical Brit on holiday in Spain. Very slow on the uptake. It's one of the things that I thought was off.
Yeah, like you said, man, it's cool. It's cool seeing different religions.
I quite like that parallel. British, certain British people abroad behave terribly. We I'm embarrassed sometimes.
Americans too.
This is true.
Well, that's always the common thing when you have foreign nations. Like remember in The Patriot, Mel Gibson, he's like, I understand like the rules of war. It's like, listen, there's different nations and cultures think that there's rules when it comes to warfare, gentleman conduct, and like, listen, just because you have rules in your country doesn't mean their country is going to respect your rules and your nations and your beliefs. And that's what you got to understand, dude. You're not in England no more, man. You're in Japan. These guys don't adhere to like what you considered brutality and stuff, what you consider to be good manners. They have a whole different culture. You better very quickly get in line, shut up, or they will execute you.
And that's what, and as a veteran, that's what a lot of people don't understand. Everyone thinks that in war, everyone's going to follow the Geneva Convention rules. But in war, there are no rules. Everything is on the table. And even though I was very fortunate never to be on the battlefield, I have family who was in World War II and Vietnam. And, war, there are no rules. I mean, everything is fair game. Is it right? No. But that's the way of the world, and that's what people fail to understand.
Yeah, but I do like Lance would say, different throughout history, different religions. There's a political aspect, but also there is like this big religious conflict because, wars have been fought over God, over land, over religions. This isn't a new concept where people are being killed for what version of Jesus or Buddha or whoever they believe in. So I like that aspect too.
And it's funny. I mentioned. I think Darth Plato. I'm glad Darth Plato mentioned Martin Alvito, because this is from what I've seen about the character of Martin. I'll just call him Martin. He is a devout Catholic. He strongly believes in his faith, but he does not approve of what the church is doing with the greed and basically not caring about people's souls just by they just want power. He actually believes that in doing the right thing. The problem is he feels powerless to do it, so he's just trying to make the best of it. That's why he has such a close friendship with Mariko.
Yeah.
And also I think that's also why he's honest with Blackthorn. He said, look, I know you hate my guts, I know you think I'm an enemy, but we're more alike than you realize. I think that's why he had no problem honestly translating Blackthorn's words, even though Blackthorn has been, pardon my language, a prick to him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to see. We're going to find out more about what happens next week. Hopefully, join us next Wednesday. I might do it at the same time. I just need to check some other commitments, but certainly I will be doing a stream on the next episode.
And make sure you're live.
Yeah, I'll try and make sure that we're live before we do half an hour of comments. Now I'm just going to talk about some things that I've got coming up. So look out for Sunday, the 24th of March, where we're going to have a very exclusive event on the Outcast Creative channel. We're going to be interviewing the cast and the producer of this. Yeah, it's true. We've got the cast and the producer of The Thing, the musical, coming in to talk to us in the studio. I've got an exclusive shot of some of the cast on set during the filming of this fantastic film. Here they are. So fantastic. One of them is going to be coming in talking to us. His name is Richard Dreyfuss. And here he is when I was chatting with him earlier. So he's going to be coming in, talking to us. The producer of the movie is going to be talking to us.
Wow.
That's on March 24th. If you saw our Napoleon stream about the Martin Weir version of Napoleon, which is in the film Get Shorty, you'll have some idea of what to expect on that stream. That's going to be, it's a very different event for YouTube. No one else is doing this kind of stuff. Come and check it out. Spread the word, please. It's going to be a lot of fun. In fact, I need to create the stream for that because it's not up yet. So I better get on that after I jump off of here. Also, we've got the Nielsen ratings every Tuesday at 10 o'clock with my regular panel. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff next week. We've also got Darth's air conditioning tuning in. Sorry. And I've also got a special on 5 days at Memorial, which is a great show about Hurricane Katrina. It's on Apple Plus. If you haven't seen it, watch it. I've got 2 of the cast coming on from that awesome show to talk about their roles. One of them played the mother of a patient, and another one of the cast played one of the patients who was left behind in the hospital to die or euthanized, to be more accurate. Yes, Richard Dreyfuss. That's correct. That's his name. So, and the Get Shorty stream was effing awesome. Well, technically, it was the Martin Weir Napoleon stream, as featured in.
Hey, Lance. Yeah. I think the last thing you showed has shown us the way. Shogun the musical coming soon.
Well, you never know.
Leave Shogun alone. You can do any musical, just leave Shogun alone. Don't do no Shogun the musical. That'd be a disgrace.
Anyway, it's a review. Remember, we're not making the film. We're just talking to the cast and talking about their experience of filming The Thing, the musical on set. So, Blue, what you got coming up, buddy?
Well, let's see. I wanted to get a midnight release for GameStop. They're not doing it. I'm going to buy digital, but in 4 hours, Final Fantasy Rebirth is coming out, and I'm going to get a pot of coffee. So,
Oh, so you're going to be playing that in 4 hours time?
Of course, they said Critical Drinker tweeted out, "It's like, hey guys, I got my copy." I'm like, you bastard, man. So
Damn.
yeah, no, Final Fantasy Rebirth. It's, you know, even non-gamers, people know about Final Fantasy 7, and just like the highly anticipated sequel comes out officially at midnight. So I'm ready for it.
So guys, if you haven't subscribed to BlueCollarLoser's channel, here it is, people. Do check it out. I'm occasionally a guest on there, especially when he does it at a reasonable time when I can actually participate. Darth, have you got anything you want to plug, buddy?
Well, not at the moment, because RM is in DC doing stuff, so we're not going to be streaming for at least 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. But you can occasionally catch Darth Plato on my good friend RM's channel, Positive Fandom, which I have plugged various times before. Do check it out. Lots of interesting content.
So if I'm going to plug anything, it's going to be Positive Fandom. Join the Positive Fandom. Join the Bird Network. Robert Meyer Burnett's channel. I'm on
there.
Nice. He's awesome.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So also I'm going to give Leroy's books a plug. The link for them is already down below. You can find them on Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk.
Thanks. I have a new book out called Face of the Sun. It's the first book of my new series called The Frontier. I'm currently working on the second book right now. I hope to have it finished before summer.
It's called Face of the Sun?
Face of the Sun.
Oh, yeah. There we go. I think that's the one.
I've been getting great reviews on it.
Yeah, look at that. 42 ratings already, dude. Look, let's check some of these out. Face of the Sun, captivating, enjoyable story.
I'm working on the second book right now. I hope to finish it before summer.
Damn, you haven't even been trolled yet. So, somebody gave you a 2-star. That's a bit mean, but they haven't even written a review.
Yeah, thank God. But like I said, most of the negative criticism I get on my books is that I'm too politically correct. But as a history buff and a history major, I try to tell things like, even though like my books take place in the fur trade, mountain men and Indians, way before the 1840s. And even though the main characters are white, I try to tell the story from the native point of view. They try to see things from the native point of view, the indigenous people that they come in contact with. So, and what I like about my newest book, Face of the Sun, is that all my other books were like more religious, and the main character, not just the main character, but all the good guys in my other novels were more mimicked after my dad. This book is more mimicked after me, and like I said, it's less religious. I mean, the character is not an atheist or anything, but he's more spiritual. But he leaves home to come out west because he wants to, not because he has to or he doesn't have a choice. And like I said, I've gotten great ratings on it, and it's probably my favorite book that I've ever, compared to all my other books. It's the 11th book I've ever written. I'm working on my 12th one right now. So,
well, check that out. The links are down below. Yeah, and Leroy, I wish you the best of luck with that. I bet you're looking forward to seeing Horizon, the new show from Kevin Costner.
Horizon, yeah.
Look at the trailer. Look at the trailer.
I saw the trailer, but I'm going to watch it. But I would like to see more westerns that take place, like more westerns like The Revenant.
Yeah, but this is a Kevin Costner western, so it's gonna have that
like during the Civil War.
It's gonna have the Kevin Costner flavor, but I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be epic.
I'm definitely gonna see that movie.
2 parts. But are you looking forward to seeing that, Darth?
I've only heard about it this week. If people recommend it, I will watch it.
It's not out until June, but watch the trailer. The trailer looks amazing. All right, that's it from us and my panel. Thanks to everyone in the chat who's been watching.
Thank you, Lance.
You're very welcome. Do like and subscribe. Don't forget to share the streams. And if you want to buy my books, also, don't forget my books are also out on Amazon. I've got a science fiction TV show there called Diamonds in the Sky. The first 2 books are out. The third one might even get written at some point. And 1988, which is a sort of semi-autobiographical account of my year in 1988. In fact, funny enough, that book is right here. I've got it right next to me. Just have to like pour loads of things off it. There it is, and it looks suspiciously like the poster for Die Hard, because that's when Die Hard came out. So
I remember when Die Hard first came out. I mean, Bruce Willis shocked me because up until then he was doing comedy. He was doing like he was still doing moonlighting.
Yeah, I know, and the studio didn't want him and said he was the fee was too high, but that's a topic for a whole other stream. All right, so thanks a lot to Keithy, David Atom, and all the regulars that came in, the various stands. We will see you all again real soon.
God bless y'all. You all be safe now.
Peace out.
And I'm actually going to put my end credits on. Here we go.